Hey, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a complete fluid change on my O2 4Runner. A lot of people have done this, and Chris Fix actually has a very good video about it, but hopefully you can learn something from this, and if you have a 4Runner, there's going to be some more specifics on that. Okay, we're going to hop to the fluids I'm going to use here. First off, I'm going to do an oil change. That's the only thing I'm going to do today. I like to also do a rotate with these, but I don't have the time today. But I got a filter and then just some 5W30 from Kirkland. A lot of people like this. This is Costco. And then filter, I don't really care about running too high end of a filter. The filter wrench, I think this is a Tecton. And then we're gonna move into, when we do the rotate, doing some brake fluid. And then it's always good to have just some other tools on hand, fluid pumps, whatever. Then we'll do a transmission flush. Well, not necessarily a flush, but just kind of change the fluid out and renew some of the fluid in there. And then this will also be used for power steering fluid. People don't know that power steering fluid actually isn't recommended for most cars. Actually, ATF is what you should use. That's automatic transmission fluid. This stuff meets Dexron 3, which is what this 4Runner requires. And then super simple, just windshield wiper fluid. And then I've got some coolant from Toyota. This stuff's amazing. This is straight concentrate, so I will have to get some distilled water, which is kind of hard to find right now, so hopefully I can. And then I'm gonna flush the system with some distilled water as well with this stuff. Here I'm going to be putting in the rear diff, and then this stuff will go in the transfer case and front diff. I did just do the front diff, but we can do some new fluid, it won't hurt. And I believe that is all of our fluids. Let's get started. Before we get started, I'm going to throw up all of my levels and the recommended fluids for my 4Runner that were in my service manual, or just normal manual. You're gonna have to excuse how dirty this engine bay is, but take the cap off right here. There are some skid plates underneath. I've replaced mine. They're M8 bolts. I believe factory they're 14 mil, but mine are 13 because I got aftermarket ones, so you gotta take those off. So here are the factory skids. There are 10 bolts, one right there, there, skip the middle right here, and then together. They like kind of bolt together right here. And then there's one that mounts them on the back here. And these are 2 pieces. These things are filthy. You can tell that my car has around 210,000 miles. But we'll have to clean these up when we get them back on. So here's the front and the bumper. If we go down, you can see the drain bolt is just that guy right there. And then the filter is behind the pan, just right up there, and it's kind of like angled up. While I'm down here, I like to look for leaks and also rust, and then also check out the bushings, see if they're cracking, and hoses and lines. I like to make sure they're all looking good as well. My car's a little warm, but this is going to be coming down. I am in desperate need of a solution on this, because every single time I do this, I just make an absolute mess. But let's pre-fill the filter. Now this is tilted downwards, so I'm not going to fill it that much. Lube that O-ring surface as well. Okay, I'm ready to start filling this guy up. I did not mention that I did put some seafoam in the crankcase, just into this same exact place, about 300 miles ago. And I did 5 ounces. I think this takes 5.5 quarts, so you just kind of convert that to ounces and put seafoam, and then I just put the rest in the gas tank. And then I also didn't mention that I love that I can do this oil change without lifting the car, but now I can fill this up. So the car is still warm and I'm ready to move on to doing my transmission fluid real fast. Luckily, this transmission does have a dipstick. I already have a funnel inside of where the dipstick goes into, and then we're going to go to the bottom and drain that out. So passenger side here, just go under, and then there is just 14 millimeter right there. So this is what I got out of my transmission, out of this pan. The pan does hold a little bit, but there was a little bit of just regular engine oil in there before. But this is about as much as I can muster out of that. It looks like it's really close to a gallon, so I am going to put my entire gallon in there and check the dipstick after driving it a second, and if it's not enough, I'll go get another quart. I'm on a roll, so I'm just going to keep going right under this door handle. We're going to go down. And then here's the transfer case for 4-wheel drive. There's the drain, and then you can see the fill up there already taken off. Those are 24 millimeters. Just make sure that the fill will come off before you pull the drain off. Filling these is really simple. I might have to get out my fluid pump, but you just go into the fill hole and squeeze your fluid into there until it starts dripping out. But I might have to get out my fluid pump because this isn't angled very much. The front diff is quite similar here. If you just start at the front, the drain bolt is actually facing towards driver's side, and then the fill plug's right there. These two plugs are different, and that is different from the transfer case, and they are T55s, but you do not want to mix up these bolts because the bottom one has a magnet on it and the top does not. So let's get out the fluid pump, pump this up. I cleaned up all of those plugs with some brake clean and just a rag, and then I'm going to clean the floor up a little bit too. But Charlie wants to go to dinner, so I'm going to go do that with her. It's Friday night and that's needed. I will continue this tomorrow. If you guys are wondering on what I'm doing for light, I just have this clipped to my hat. This is the Streamlight Micro Stream. This thing works amazing. It's the USB, so you can charge it. Highly recommend it, but let's get going again tomorrow. Okay, it's the next day. The car is running really well in 4-wheel drive, so we can move on to the cooling system. This is cold. This is the radiator right here. And then just on the back side, there's a little plug. And then I just have a baking sheet. So I'm gonna open this up. Now this fluid actually looks really clean. I've got my no spill funnel set up. We're still draining a little bit, but not too much. I'm gonna start it up and try to get just all that I can, but this fluid actually looks pretty good for what it is. Alright, I'm just putting distilled water in here, and yes, this is 7-Eleven. It's the only stuff I could find, so we're gonna flush it with this. I didn't mention that the plug is in on the radiator, but now I'm gonna add this cooling system cleaner. Just gonna put it right in. And then I'll do another gallon right after this. Okay, now I'm gonna start it up, try to get all this fluid out. I think even me just squeezing this upper radiator hose causes some bubbles, so we have some air in the system and we need to bleed it out. Alright, I just took a ride and the coolant level was right in the middle the entire time, so that's perfect. Just getting it through the system. I had the heater on to get it through the heater core too. Now I've got the plug in the bottom of the radiator, and I'm just going to add at least a gallon of regular concentrate and a gallon of distilled water, and I'll kind of just swap between them and fill it up. Now the rear diff is full, and I am draining the coolant that I flushed with. And while that drains, you can see there's still a little stream. I'm gonna do the washer fluid real fast. Just need to make sure we have this. Pretty simple. And if you live in a freezing environment, don't put straight water in here, just put something other. But this is really simple. I am going to work on the diff fluid while it's warm. That's pretty easy. Well, the rear diff fluid, I should say. I already did the diff fluid. So here's the back of the car. And we're just going down. And this is our objective. So here are the two things. You want to turn off your e-brake so that this braided hose is, or braided wire is kind of out of the way. And it's a 24 millimeter. It's the same with the front diff where the bottom drain bolt has a magnet on it. And this fluid probably has never been changed. You can see how much buildup's on that. And this stuff is nasty. But I'm gonna let it drain for a while. Alright, the cooling system is done. It is a cold morning and I have 3 things to do. So I'm gonna jack it up and then do rotation, brake fluid, and then my power steering fluid. Now I'm going to move on to power steering. Here's some more ATF. This is going to be okay for this. I got this for Charlie's car and there's some left over, so I can use this. And then this guy is our pump. Check our levels. There's a little indicator on here of your levels. And then we're just gonna suck that fluid out and add some more, and then turn the wheels and kind of just pump some new fluid through the system while still keeping some old stuff there. Also, while we are right here, I like to check the air filter, engine air filter. This guy's really simple. There's just 2 clips, and it just slides out. And then this guy I replaced 5,000 miles ago, so but it looks pretty good right now. Just a bit. I just started the car and ran the wheels back and forth a few times, and then we're gonna replace this fluid too. The brakes are pretty simple. I just emptied the reservoir and filled it up with new fluid and bled out the brakes with the help of Charlie. I enlisted her by doing all the fluids in her car as well. With the brakes done, all 9 fluids are changed. Well, 8 real fluids. The 9th one is washer fluid over here. But I dropped the car and torqued it to 110 foot-pounds, which is spec on the wheels, lug nuts. Now I just want to show you some comparisons of everything. So here's the oil, transmission fluid, and then power steering. I'll get so the sun or the light can hit it. And then we have coolant. This stuff's actually probably the smallest change. That stuff probably looks the best out of all of it. And then brake fluid. To be honest with you, this is just water. There's not much in here. And this actually took a lot. The 4Runner took a lot of brake fluid. Transfer case, front and rear differentials are all right here. All the fluids were pretty similar. So, and that this is new. This is a crazy transformation. Same with the brake fluid. And then both the things that use ATF are pretty substantial. Anyways, I think that's all that I have for you guys today. If you have any questions, just leave them down below. This whole entire process just adds kind of a peace of mind to maintenance on my 4Runner and yours, obviously. And just kind of plays into reliability, just making sure that things are good. And I know that everything in the back of my mind's good. I do have a few leaks to fix. As you saw, the valve covers are leaking pretty bad. And then I think the front transfer case. I will say that I recommend getting some new crush washers for these drain plugs and fill plugs on most of the things. That is definitely needed. But I think I'm going to leave it there. Thanks for watching. We'll see ya.